evening, everyone, and welcome to the May 16th council meeting of the Fanwood Township. And I am Kathy Mitchell, the council president, filling in for Mayor Marsh. She will be a few minutes late. So we have a full agenda, so we thought we would get the meeting started. And to begin with, I will read the open public meeting statement. I hereby announce a request that such be included in the minutes of this meeting, that notice of the time, place, and date of the meeting has been prominently posted on the bulletin board at Borough Hall, mailed to the Times, the Star Ledger, Courier News, Patch, and the Alternative Press by January 10th, 2016, filed with the Borough Clerk, and mailed to any person requesting the same in accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act. And now we have Girl Scout Troop 40915 here to assist us and lead us with the Pledge of Allegiance. So I would ask you all to please stand. Okay, ladies.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. That was a very good job. And then, I don't know, do you ladies want to go back to your seats now? Or do you want to stay here for a minute or two?
Stay here for a minute.
Okay, that's fine. Stay there. And now, Mrs. McGovern, would you please read our invocation for the evening?
At this council meeting, we are in the presence of men and women of Fanwood's emergency services system. We acknowledge their exemplary performance in safeguarding our health and safety and dedicate this meeting to them. We ask protection for these men and women and their families as they protect and care for us. Also, we celebrate our volunteers who are present tonight, those involved in preserving our past, those Fanwood employees who are protecting our future, the gifted who care for us in our medical need, and they are reflecting your spirit, Lord, in loving your neighbors as you taught us to do. We thank you for all the treasures you have given us, our families, homes, and health, our peace. And we pray that we are always worthy to receive these gifts. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. Would you like to stay?
Yes.
Okay. Well, now I have a lot of assistants. So, Mrs. McGovern, will we please have a roll call?
Kevin Boris?
Here.
Russell Hugel? Tom Krantz?
Here. Present.
I'll go back.
She told me to say here.
Rebecca Roy Barker?
Here.
Catherine Mitchell?
Here.
Jack Molinor?
Here.
And now I'd like to have a motion to accept the meetings of the regular meeting for April 18, 2016, special meetings on April 11, 2016, May 2nd, 2016, and our agenda meeting for May 2nd, 2016.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now, the mayor wants to be here for most of our presentations, so we are going to skip around in our agenda here. And do we need a motion to do that, council? No, okay. So we will proceed with the correspondence. We have one piece of correspondence from the Fanwood Planning Board. And this is, Jack, you want to speak to this?
Actually, we reviewed the downtown redevelopment plan at the last planning board meeting, the revisions to it, and we actually, thank you, Girl Scout Troop. I start talking and people leave. Wow.
Is that a clue, Jack?
I think it is a clue. So we discussed the downtown redevelopment plan. I think we're going to have a further discussion tonight. Is that correct, Council?
Yes.
Yes, okay. But what we looked at that night, the planning board agreed with all the proposed changes and recommended approval of the revised redevelopment plan.
And I might as well speak to it
Might as well speak to it.
as we're talking about now. So this is the Station Square. This is an amendment to the redevelopment plan, and there was a word missed in one of the provisions regarding the orientation of the buildings for that particular development. All the buildings are going to be facing inward, except for one, which is going to be facing outward to the parking lot, the municipal parking lot. So we needed to add a word, parking lot, It is considered a de minimis change. However, I do believe you should have it in front of you. So what we'll do is carry the vote until June 2nd, which is the special meeting. But
June
we-
7th.
June 7th, but we can have the public hearing because it has gone through all the required procedural steps in order to have a second reading.
Thank you. Okay, so we will go right into council reports. As I said, for those of you who may have just come in, the mayor is running a little bit late, so she does want to be here for the presentation, so we have adjusted our agenda. So until she gets here, we will go ahead with the regular business of the council.
Council President Patty?
Yes.
We plan on having one of our major discussions that I know she wants to be here for under the A&F committee. So could maybe push that to the last committee report, and maybe that'll give us enough time.
Sounds fine to me. Okay, then Councilman Forrest, you have a public safety report?
Okay, I get to skip ahead, which is fine with me. Thank you, Council President. And lucky for me, I have the police chief in the room, so if I mess up the police department report, he can correct me. For the month of April 2016, there were 1,127 total calls for police assistance through the CAD system and 13 calls through the 911 terminal. There were 558 motor vehicle stops. That included 390 summonses issued, which had included 101 motor vehicle summonses, 235 non-moving violations, and 54 parking summonses. There were 13 total adult arrests. For 10 of those were arrests on warrants. 2 total juvenile arrests. One was possession of a controlled dangerous substance, and one was simple assault. 9 crimes reported. Those included fraud, simple assault, criminal mischief, disorderly, and theft/larceny. That is the report for the police department for the month of April. I also have a report for the Environmental Commission, Council President, and there are a couple things I want to point out. The Environmental Commission was instrumental with the Arbor Day and also with the our Clean Community Day. There was a nice presentation and pickup that happened. I also wanted to go over a couple of things that are pending. There are 2 members of our community that volunteered to help the Fanwood Environmental Commission, a Boy Scout and a Girl Scout. And a Boy Scout is looking to move the Butterfly Garden from its current location to closer to Borough Hall. And a Girl Scout for her Girl Scout project is looking to do some signs at the Nature Center. Other than that, that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Anybody have any questions on the council here regarding any of that report? Okay. Mayor, we saved all the appointments and presentations because we knew that you wanted to be here, so we had just begun on council reports.
Thank you.
Now, I just want you to know that we have all of the scouts out there helped us with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Well, I'm very sorry that I missed tonight's meeting. As I was walking out the door, about like I got a call from my son who was having like a cleat meltdown at one of our local baseball games, and his mother needed to try to find an extra pair of cleats, so I running late.
Did you find them?
He had to wear sneakers. Didn't really go over very well on the field right now, but I'm here, so I apologize for missing the opening part of that. So are we at the appointments?
Yeah, I
We
would
can
say,
go back.
I think we didn't do minutes either.
Yes,
Yeah,
we
we
did.
did.
Okay, my mistake.
We did 2
We
committees.
were talking.
Pay
Okay.
attention.
I'm
I'm trying.
And on any of that
No,
stuff.
we didn't do any of that because I know you wanted to be here.
Great, okay, awesome. All right, so that's all here. Just grab a pen. Good evening, everybody, and we have, May is a really popular and timely month for a lot of things that are going on nationally as well as locally. And what we do each month is we do a volunteer of the month. And we, as a council, talk amongst ourselves about identifying someone that has done something that truly sets them apart from the others within our community, that they volunteer to do something. And that something really helps define who we are as a community. So tonight, I would like to call up Miss Mallory Banks, who is here in the audience. And if she's here with her committee members, if they would like to come forward as well. And as they make their way forward, last month, we recognized that April was Autism Awareness Month. And the Bank family is a local family that I've gotten to know. Come on over here, guys. And the Banks family is someone who I've gotten to know both, personally as Fanwood residents, as well as someone who looks into what they can do to make the community a better place. So Miss Mallory and I met a couple years ago when she decided that she wanted to do something very special to bring attention towards autism, which her brother has. And she started off by doing bake sales downtown in Fanwood. And those bake sales produced a couple $100, not insignificant by any means, but something that she latched onto. And every year it got a little bit bigger, and we kind of left the streets of Fanwood and went into Parker's Greenhouse, and that sort of upped the ante of the amount of people that she could touch with her baked goods, and made, a couple thousand, I think, at that point, right? And then her family came to me and said, you know what, they want to kind of turn it up. They want to take it to the next level, and they really want to do something that's going to really draw attention to, how autism affects so many of us. And with that, they decided to do Fanwood Rocks Autism. As you can see, they have their awesome black shirts on for Rockin' for Autism, and it was an event that was held on Saturday, April 16th. And it was probably one of the largest community events, I would have to say, in the state of New Jersey. And what we decided to do was we partnered with the Scotch Plains Fanwood Youth Baseball Association for opening day. Because we know that autism affects everyone, whether it's not their immediate family, it's a relative or a friend, or they're in school, these children are in school. And so to integrate both our youth baseball program, to have our Department of Public Works, who is here tonight, John Picola, really step up all day. He was in that park. And really, with Clint Dixon, carried that for us. We had an awesome day for 5 or 6 hours of bands that came, and one band after another, and it was a teachable moment, it was a community moment, and they raised a significant amount of money, of which I am not going to take your thunder, and I'm going to let you share with us how much money you ultimately ended up raising.
We raised in total $10,500. $10,500 from a young woman here, and these are her committee members, which are made up of her friends and her family. And we should really just again give them a nice round of applause, because Fanwood I would like to thank the community for supporting me throughout this event, because without you guys, this wouldn't have happened. I would like to thank my awesome committee. You guys are the best. I'd like to thank Mayor Colleen Mark, because you've done so much, and it really means a lot to me, and I can't wait till next year.
I can't wait till next year either. So her awesome parents, Gina and Jeff Banks, please, thank you for helping bring all of this together. I know that we have Jamie, is it Westbrot? Ricebrod is here. Eric, is Eric here?
He's missing.
Okay,
Missing.
good. He did the PR, I think, for
did.
us, a Fanwood resident.
He did.
Vanessa White,
She's not here, but she was in charge of all the merchant raffles and tables that you saw.
Lisa and Will Weiser.
Lisa?
Lisa's
Lisa's
right
right
there. There you go.
Lisa and Will were in charge of the bands, all of the bands.
The bands were awesome.
Yeah.
The bands were awesome. Lisa Schiff,
She's not here.
okay. Ethan Banks, you know, awesome. Allie Wesser, Weiser. Jade Glassman,
It's right behind there. Yeah.
awesome. Jake, is it Samet?
Yeah.
Samet,
Yeah.
okay, and Jamie Westbrot, did I?
We don't have a choice.
Okay,
Jamie's in charge of all of our volunteers from the community. We had over 100
Can you please come to the
volunteers.
mic?
Oh, sure. I was just gonna say that, Jamie was in charge of all of our volunteers, and we did a volunteer sign-up sheet on a website that we put out on social media, and we got probably over like 100 volunteers, people that showed up that morning that we didn't even know who they were, and they were so excited to volunteer and be a part of this event. We made amazing friends, and Jamie coordinated all of that, as well as the baked goods too.
and why don't we just finish it by telling where all the money went?
Oh, so all of the money went to Autism New Jersey, and our team had a celebration dinner last week at the Stagehouse Tavern. We presented Ellen Schisler from Autism New Jersey with, well, first we showed her the fake check of $10,500, and then we gave her the real check. So, and we're excited. I got an email yesterday from a band asking when we were doing it next April because he's being booked. So,
All right.
we gotta talk.
All right. Well, on behalf of myself and the entire council and the administration and Public Works and the police who were there all day as part of it, we want to just say thank you. It was a great event, and I think that we've started a tradition with opening baseball and rocking for autism. So, thank you. Oh, and I have something for you. So before I forget, a little something for Mallory. So we give out as our volunteer of the month a picture of our Fanwood train station, and I say every month it's because this is the jewel of Fanwood. This is what people think of Fanwood. They think of our historic train station as being the jewel in our crown, and so we give this to you and to let you know how special you are to Fanwood, and we hope that wherever you hang it, you'll think of us. You're welcome.
So cool.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Next, I'd like to call up Chief Trigo. And I'd like to also call up Councilman Boris, who is our police commissioner. And May celebrates and recognizes our police department. And it is this week across the United States that communities like ours draw attention to the brave men and women that make up law enforcement. So I will turn this over to our police chief, Trigo.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, Police Week is where we dedicate this month to all the officers that serve in law enforcement and the officers that have passed away. And I just want to take the time to thank the mayor and council. Every year we come here to honor our officers, and I appreciate that because not every town does that. So it's true to my heart that it really touches me that you do that for me. And also, as officers, no one takes this career to get any awards. But you know what? It's nice to get recognized. And by you allowing us to, with me to do this and the council doing this, you recognize it means a lot to us. So the men and women of the Fanwood Police Department do appreciate that. So we're going to be issuing several awards tonight. First off, I'd like to have come up Officer Kathleen Case and Officer Kevin Stomber. Okay. What I'm going to do is they're going to be receiving the Exceptional Duty Award. And what typically happens, I will describe what in police department we call the job. What it is called, it's the instance that they, the incident that they responded to. On August 22nd, 2015, Patrolman Kevin Stomber and Officer Case were dispatched to a home on Westfield Road for a medical call of a childbirth in progress. Upon arrival, they observed the expectant mother in the bathroom. They also observed that a breech delivery was in process and the baby was wedged and not moving. They then assisted in the delivery of the baby. Once the baby was delivered, Officer Stomber observed the umbilical cord wrapped around the baby's throat. While Officer Stomber unwrapped the umbilical cord from the child's throat, Officer Case placed the baby on its side and rubbed its back and continued to simulate the baby and suction the baby's mouth so the baby was able to breathe. Because of their combined efforts and a quick and calm actions of both officers, a healthy baby was born. So, this is the second year in a row where we had an officer born. I'm sorry. That would be something. Where we had a baby born and the umbilical cord was wrapped around the baby. And last year it was Sergeant Garlick who saved that baby. So again, officers, excellent job. Very proud of you. Next, I'd like to call Sergeant Mark Garlick. Sergeant Gottlieb is receiving the Chief's Award. This award is in recognition of your life-saving actions and proactive efforts in keeping our roads safe from impaired drivers. Your diligence and professionalism has served and protected countless lives. For those efforts, you have been recognized by the Fanwood Police Department and by Mothers Against Drunk Driving in New Jersey for the second year in a row. Congratulations. Lastly, I'd like to call forward Lieutenant Marrero, Sergeant Gottlieb, Sergeant Greco, Officer Michael Rusin, and Officer Dan Picola, and Officer Kathleen Case. They were all born this year, too. This is called the unit citation as a group, how they performed, and I'll explain after I read the incident. I'm extremely proud of the dedication and service you delivered to the residents of the borough during Winter Storm Jonas. Despite the difficult personal circumstances that you endured, you rose to the challenge and displayed the heart, character, and integrity that are the essence of the Fanwood Police Department. Your actions bring a claim to not only you, but our department. These officers, I want to thank them because, as everyone remembers, that was the storm of storms, Jonas. And we weren't sure who was going to be able to come to work, and officers coming from all over the place. And they did a tremendous job answering all the calls for service. We look into our CAD system, and CADs are our calls for service. I've received so many calls after this incident where calls for service weren't stamped. And I'm watching TV, and I'm seeing what's happening, and the officers being given awards and high acclaim for things that they did. What these officers were doing, besides answering the calls for service, I can't tell you how many elderly people they assisted in getting out of their driveways, riding around seeing a police officer shoveling someone out of their driveway and helping the citizens of Fanwood, delivering services that that people don't come to expect all the time. But in Fanwood, people do come to expect it because these men and women represent us so well. And I can't tell you how proud I am to serve as your chief, and the dedication and the service that you provide to these residents is second to none. So I salute you. I take my hat off to you. Excellent job.
Thank you. So, Chief, before you go, I might as, while you are all here, and we had talked about the bravery and the dedication and the attention. And this is what the Fanwood Police Department does exceptionally well. It pays attention to our community. In whether it's weather-related storms or in times of emergency or despair, these are the faces that arrive at your door and make it okay. And for that, for each and every one of you, and for those officers that could not be here today, we understand that you put your lives on the line every day. And whether it's in a community such as ours, or in a bigger community, a rural, suburban, urban, it doesn't really matter. What matters is your dedication to protecting and serving. And so, on behalf of the mayor and council, this is National Police Week. And whereas we knew the first line of duty death was in 1791, and more than 20,000 United States law enforcement officials have been killed. 20,000. And whereas there are approximately 900,000 law enforcement officers serving communities across the United States, including members of our police department who serve the people. And it's important for all of us here to understand that what their duties are, what their responsibilities are, and the sacrifices that they make as a member of our law enforcement community to protect and to serve against deception and to protect the weak against oppression. So I, as the mayor and the council here, call upon all the citizens to be patriotic, to understand what civic is all about, and to educate themselves and to thank law enforcement officials between the week of May 15th and May 21st. And I want to just say once again, thank you for all your courageous deeds and for protecting and serving each and every one of us in this room. Thank you. I'd like to call up Clint Dixon, that is here. It's interesting for me how they can, nationally, they can pick these times of the year to draw attention on something. And it's not lost on me that as it is National Police Week, it is also National Public Works Week as well. And the two, the police and the public works, work very hand in hand with each other. Clint Dixon has served our community along with the men on the road and very well for a very long time here. And you do a tremendous job and have elevated what it means to provide for and to work as public works in our community. And for that, I thank you. And the first resolution ever really identifying and acknowledging public works was in 1960. And it really recognizes the men and women who perform, again, a vital program to our community and to celebrate the tens of thousands of individuals who provide and maintain our infrastructure. So your roads, as the chief was saying, one of the biggest incidents we had over the last year was the snowstorm. Well, who was really right there hand in hand with the police department was our public works. And really digging into the roads, working almost 24 hours a day. And that's why we were very successful with the last storm, because we stayed ahead of it. And we never got off the roads, and we never, we were better than the storm on that occasion, and that's not lost on us. So to provide for the health and the safety and the comfort of our community depends on you. It depends on the men that work in our public works. And the public's attitude is really shaped by what you do. And because you do it so professionally and accurately, we, as the elected officials, sometimes get the credit for that, but it truly falls on your shoulders. And so for that, on behalf of really the men and the women that sit here, we want to thank you, and we want to always thank you for this and continue the good work.
First off, it's near and dear to my heart as well that Fanwood does recognize their public works department as you do. So I want to thank the mayor and council for the recognition this week and throughout the whole year, because public works everything that we do in the community, whether it be a big storm like Jonah, or something as simple as hanging the picture frames, the mayor's picture frames that are behind me, which is something we just did recently. But, it entails so much in the community. I have to thank my foreman, John Picola, who's in the audience. I have to thank all the other guys in Public Works, Ken Blum, Bob, Kurt, Andy Baldessari, we have Joe Lettieri, Tony Grasso, and Austin Luis, who was working for us. There are some of our newer employees, but I have to thank all the guys. I mean, they do a tremendous job. And Jonah, it was a piece of cake. We got through it. It was no problem. But I'm sorry. Thank you, Mayor. And my secretary, Doreen, as well. A special thanks to her because she puts up with all of us. To put up with 7 guys in Public Works isn't easy. Actually 8, including myself. And I'm the big one she has to put up with every day. But I thank all of them. I thank the other departments in town for all their support and working with the police department, even the rescue squad, administration on a daily basis. I thank everybody, and we're there. So if anybody, we have an open door policy. Anybody needs anything, feel free to give us a call. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So for this next one, I'll ask Councilman Krantz to come up with me. We did the police, we did Public Works, and May, same week, is also, it's the Rescue Squad month for the month of May, but also it's the National EMS Week, which is from May 15th to the 21st. And I'd like to call forward our volunteers who man our rescue squad, please come forward. Please come forward. Now, our rescue squad has been organized since 1948. So since 1948, we have had a all-volunteer rescue squad that has really provided for the needs, and again works in concert with our police department and even our Public Works. For any type of an emergency, when we have planning to do, our Office of Emergency Management gets into gear. Chief Trigo is the one who's leading it. We have the rescue squad, the fire department, the Public Works department, all in the same room. And you may not always see their faces, but these are the men and women that actually take the time to volunteer, while they raise their families, while they go to work, while they provide for a living, they also find the time. And I'm going to have Councilman Krantz say a few words, because they've actually done a phenomenal job this past year with really doing a call for volunteers, because it is all volunteers, and like anything else, it's an ebb and flow, and we are always looking for people who would like to commit back into their community. So, Tom, I think I'll give you the floor to say a few words with our friends.
Thanks very much. Good evening, everybody. So, yeah, the rescue squad, we're always looking for volunteers. That's kind of like a recording that I should just hang from my neck, pretty much. This year, they did a pretty aggressive recruitment drive. You've seen some of the street signs around, the lawn signs around town. It's on their website, and they had we had a really unprecedented number of people apply to be members. 2 months ago or 3 months ago, I walked in for a regular meeting, and there were 11 new members. That never happened, ever. The last time we had that many members came, it was right after 9/11. Of course, a lot of people were inspired then. But this time we had a lot of people who really care about their community, and 2 of those new members are here tonight. I just wanted to say hi and thanks to Shreya Kachru. Shreya is a senior at one of the VOTEC schools, right? And she's going to graduate in May, and she's almost an EMT, right? How close are we?
State test is June 9th.
All right, so she's going to take her state test and hopefully be with us until she goes off to college, which, do we know where we're going yet? Rutgers, to be what?
To hopefully eventually become a doctor.
Cool, okay. And Christian Roman, Christian is also a Fanwood resident. Shreya lives on Cottage Way, I think, right? And Christian lives over in Locust. Christian is 17? 18, high school junior though, right? So you got another whole year to go. And you're going to the EMT class this summer, right?
Yes.
Okay, and so we've got 2 young folks here, and young members is what it's all about for us. We also have At the end there, Liz Buckerty, she is the sergeant of the rescue squad. She's one of the Buckerty dynasty. We have four Buckertys. We have Liz, her two sisters, and her mom are all members of our rescue squad. Her mom is the captain, and they also serve on the Scotch Plains Rescue Squad. And behind me here is our captain, Steve. He's been here just a mere 22, 23 years. And Bob Crothers, I'm afraid to ask you how many years it's been. Why don't you just tell us how many years you've been with the
Well, it
squad?
was back in May of 1957 that my dear friend Bill Crosby, who is now deceased, joined the squad.
I can't do math. How many years is that?
59.
59 years? Bob's still our treasurer, and he's at every meeting, and he keeps our finances straight. So the rescue squad is alive and well, and we really appreciate the community support every year. The mailings just went out. They go out again in the fall. We really depend on your donations, and we've been getting them. And I just want to say thank you to all these guys behind me here. Thanks.
Thank you. Do we have anyone here from our Historic Preservation Commission? Okay, so, well, May is also National Preservation Month, so. Again, we have a proclamation which will be read into the minutes, but our Historic Preservation Commission does exceptionally good work. They are solely responsible for the upkeep, the maintenance for our Fanwood train station, which we call our community house. They are responsible for our carriage house, which is our cultural arts center, and they put on a tremendous amount of programming through the year, of which I know that Councilman Molinar is the liaison to them this year, and we are very proud of all they do. I'd like to call forward some new friends of mine, you know, that I've gotten to know very well probably over the last year. June 2nd is National Gun Violence Awareness Day. June 2nd is National Gun Violence Awareness Day, and I have had the good fortune to work with Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America. And Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America was founded almost immediately after the massacre at Sandy Hook Elementary School. And it was the moms that got together to truly just really try to put a stop to the senseless killings. And it has been a fight since then, but I have had the good fortune to really work with and gotten to know the Union County chapter of Moms Demand Action. And I'd like to call forward Lauren O'Brien and her group that is here tonight to receive the proclamation and to also just talk briefly about what we as a community in Fanwood are doing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So
First time seeing
So I will tell you that Lauren is a Scotch Plains mom.
Sorry.
That's okay. And I had the good fortune to meet her and get introduced to her from Colleen Gellinella, who is a Scotch Plains councilwoman and a mom as well. And together we organized and executed the largest event in New Jersey back in December to commemorate the 3rd anniversary of the Sandy Hook massacre. We had hundreds of people that came out to Fanwood as a vigil and to recognize and not to forget those who senselessly had gotten killed. So our next event is on June 2nd, right here on the lawn at Borough Hall. And it is Wear Orange Day, which is why we have our orange pins, and the council has their orange pins on. And I am going to let Lauren speak for a few minutes on that.
Okay, well, thank you. Truly, Fanwood has been a dream come true to a mission of mine that is a dream come true, and we couldn't be any better supported here, so we thank you so much for that. Even though the officers just left, I have to give a huge thank you. It was really great and fortunate that I'm here when you're applauding police work and Department of Public Works, because without them, that event wouldn't have been as successful as it was, and nor would it be in June. So we did offer a forum to police and law enforcement in early March on gun safety. And we're very well supported throughout the county in trying to avoid and prevent unintentional shootings in the home that take the lives of 9 children a day. We are also working really hard to reduce, unfortunately, a statistic that has risen from 88 to 91 deaths every day due to guns. So we do support the Second Amendment, but we're trying to find common sense ways to reduce senseless killings, as Mayor Marr said. We have the pleasure of hearing Union County Prosecutor Grace Park speak on June 2nd, and a reverend from the Unitarian Society of Plainfield, Dr. Tracy Sprouse, on different perspectives, which will be really educational. I'm looking forward to that. We ask people to remember to wear orange on Thursday, June 2nd, and all across the country that will be happening. And buildings will be lighting up orange. You can look at the skyline in New York City, and a lot of it will be orange as well, all the way to the Coit Tower in San Francisco. So here I just want to make sure I give a shirt. You've been waiting almost 9 months for this shirt. So here it is.
Awesome.
I have 2 sizes for you.
Awesome, I like it, I like it.
I also
like
have
it.
a placard,
Oh,
which
look at
may or
everything.
may not go well in the workplace, I'm not sure. And all of you, we have orange ribbons for. So you're the first of 7 towns in Union County this year to declare June 2nd as National Gun Violence Awareness Day. So we've just started, and that's a pretty good start. So thank you so much.
Well, you're more than welcome. So again, on the front lawn here at Borough Hall on June 2nd, it's 7 o'clock. We will have probably a half-hour program, which is open to the community, and we are just going to really just draw attention to the senseless killings that occur in our country and even in our backyards every single day. So we are very proud to be the first in Union County to pass this resolution tonight that proclaims National Gun Violence Awareness Day, Wear Orange, on June 2nd, 2016. And we thank you for your advocacy, and we thank you for your friendship, and we look forward to having an
You as
awesome
well.
event. Thank
See
you.
you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
National Nurses Day. Okay, so the last one I guess I will do. Kathy, come on up, man, come on up. So the last one that I'm gonna do before we get on to our business is it's National Nurses Week. And we are very fortunate here to have a nurse on our governing body. And Kathy Mitchell is a retired nurse, so it is, right, Kathy?
Oh, right here.
So it is my pleasure to present to Kathy, whereas this year's theme is the culture of safety, it starts with you, is the nurses' theme for the 2016 national campaign, and it acknowledges the strong commitment and the compassion and the care that nurses give every single day. And since 1893, professional nursing has been demonstrated to be an indispensable component to the safety and quality care of hospital patients. Nurses provide the primary care, they help those who cannot help themselves, they give direction, they give comfort, and they provide relief. And so therefore, I, Colleen Marr, proclaim May 6th to the 12th to be National Nurses Week in the borough of Fanwood. And we recognize nurses as being compassionate individuals who have chosen this very unique profession and want to thank them. So Kathy, as a nurse and someone who has dedicated themselves to the care of others and has gone on to care for our community in your elected capacity, thank you.
Thank you very much. I just want to say that this kind of sums it up for nurses. My father never really wanted me to be a nurse because way back in the dark ages when I became a nurse, it just wasn't the thing to do. But when I graduated from high school, there was nursing and teachers, and you got married or you were a secretary. So I became a nurse, but I always wanted to be a nurse. I always wanted to be, even as a kid, I always wanted to be a nurse. So I accept this recognition on behalf of all the great nurses that I've known. And if I had to do my life all over again, I know you've heard this before, but I would still be a nurse and an astronaut.
I think we've covered everything? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. We also have one appointment for the Recreation Commission. I'm going to hopefully not butcher her name. Naha El-Sabri, Recreation Commissioner, term expiring 12/31/2016. May I have a
So moved.
second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have an environmental.
Yeah, we had a woman that's interested,
Oh, okay, we have to, all right.
it'd be next month, I guess.
Okay. Okay, all right, thank you. We have one piece of correspondence that I would like to move as noted from the Fanwood Planning Board regarding the proposed revisions to the downtown redevelopment plan. Okay,
Can Diane explain?
what we're gonna be doing?
Yes.
Okay. And we had the council reports.
No, we did not finish it. We
Started?
did not do administration and finance. We did public safety, public works.
Okay, so we'll go to public administration and finance. Sure, we can do that. You want to do that? Okay. So we can have, which I guess is a discussion on our recycling association. And we have had, probably for the last year, a conversation with the Scotch Plains Fanwood Recycling Association, as well as the governing body, as well as the community. And we have really looked at what we wanted to, what we had to do, what we wanted to do, where the discussion was with providing a service that we are mandated by the state law to provide. And what has happened over the last several years is that the prospect of using taxpayer dollars to maintain our recycling center, which is close to 30 years old, has created a conversation that up until that point we've never really had to have. And because of the revenue stream that has been diminished in the past several years to a decline in the market, and giving that, again, we are mandated to provide a service to the residents, the council started to look at options of what we wanted to do and how we wanted to provide that service. And what was clear was that there was few options. One option was keeping the recycling center as is, curbside recycling, or somehow finding a hybrid of the two. And I think that we had a well-attended meeting in February, which was attended by countless residents. It was about a 2 or 3 hour meeting, and we received countless emails as well of residents who weighed in to have their voices heard and to express their opinions. And a number of them actually came to this meeting here over the course of months to express those opinions, as well as to come into Borough Hall. And we feel that we really have heard the voices of our community, whether they were against us going to curbside recycling and wanted the center to stay open, or they were wanting us to go to curbside because that is what would allow them to actually do something. So my biggest takeaway from this entire process is really there's one thing that I don't think we can ignore, that this community feels extremely passionate about recycling, and that this community appreciates and demands that they are given the opportunity to recycle, and really are against the notion of throwing their recyclables into their trash. And I can safely say that the mayor and council has heard every argument for every option over the last several months, and we have talked about it and really thought about it amongst ourselves. And at this time, we feel that a a curbside collection of household recyclables is what is going to serve the greatest need for our community in the most efficient manner. And the number one priority is following the law. So we are going to be having, pending a review by our attorneys, a plan to move forward on doing a shared service with the Plainfield Municipal Utilities Authority, also known as the PMUA, to collect our recyclables house to house twice a month, beginning what we think is in the fall of 2016. I'll stop here to see if there's anything that any of the council wants to say at this point.
Well, I'll jump in if you like. I'm on the Administration and Finance Committee, and Councilman Molinar and I actually went last week and we toured the PMUA's facility in Plainfield, and we also toured the Colgate recycling facility in New Brunswick, where the recyclables are actually taken, sorted, and baled up for sale and then shipped overseas. I think that both Jack and I were really impressed with the professionalism of the PMUA. They have a new executive director. His name is Daniel Mijas. He comes from the solid waste industry. He really, really wants our business, and he has vowed really to work with us any way he can to make this work for Fanwood. Unlike the other proposals that we had when we took bids, they are offering to supply the recycling bins for every single home. These are 96-gallon bins that are on wheels. They're about this high. You've seen them. They look a lot like the trash bins that some of our trash customers have. They're on wheels, and they're going to supply 2,500 of those to this town, one for each house. The collections, as the mayor mentioned, will be done every other Thursday. They're going to do them all the same day. They're going to send 3 trucks and 3 crews here and get it all done in one day. All your household recyclables will be able to be thrown into this one bin. Everything, all plastics, not just 1 and 2 plastics, glass of all colors, tin, aluminum pans, aluminum cans, newspapers, and cardboard. If you have lots of cardboard, if you had a run of Amazon.com deliveries, they want you to bundle them up and put them on the ground. But the bottom line is these things really hold a lot of stuff, and even when they're filled, they're pretty light. They're designed to tip and roll on these big wheels, and I think most everyone will be able to deal with that. I wrote a couple things down because this is important and I didn't want to shoot from the hip on this. We specifically wanted to go and see where the recyclables end up after they're picked up in our community here. So we toured the facility. It's called Colgate Paper Stock of New Brunswick. It's a very established company. I believe our current recycling center does some business with them. They recycle everything, not just paper, plastic, metal, whole 9 yards. And we specifically asked questions about the downsides of single-stream recycling, which is what this is. Our tour of the recycling facility itself revealed the entire process from the arrival of the trucks carrying the recyclables to the final products in bales ready to be shipped for sale. At each step of the way, there are literally dozens of people doing hand sorting of all the recyclables. They go on a series of conveyors. There's 35 people at this belt and 35 people at this other belt. All they do is all day they're just picking stuff out, and they put them on recyclables in separate bales. The plastics from number 3 to 10, I think, are kept separate. Some of that stuff is actually sold. I'm not sure who actually buys them, but I guess there's probably Harold knows what that stuff's used for. And the rest of it is be able to take into incinerators where trash is taken these days. We were convinced that every effort is made to separate as many of these non-recyclables as possible so that the final recyclables are as clean as possible. This company has been handling recyclables for 70 years. They're family-owned, and I think we felt pretty confident that this is about as good as it gets for single-stream recycling. Going forward, the mayor mentioned, pending a final review of the proposed contract that the PMUA kind of approached with us, 3-year contract, the amount would stay the same each year. The council is prepared to vote on implementation at our regular June meeting. Following that, there will be public education over the summer months. There's a list of do's and don'ts that's fairly straightforward. It's no surprises there really. There'll probably be a direct mailing. We'll put it on our website. Everybody will get it. And when the time comes to actually distribute these plastic canisters, everybody will know. I'm not sure if it's a door-to-door thing, they actually drop them off at the homes, or if you come and pick them up. I think they actually drop them off at everybody's house. We will continue to maintain a dialogue with Harold Clark of the Recycling Association. Harold's here tonight. I think we're going to hear from him in a little while about the Recycling Association's role, possible role in the future. and the mayor and council are really grateful to the Recycling Association, its employees and volunteers for their patience as we've deliberated this issue, and especially thanks to Harold Clark, who's been really just kind of a fact machine about this. He obviously, I think, is a little disappointed in this decision, and I don't blame him. He's been doing this for 20-some years. But he's also, I don't think, ever steered us wrong in terms of the actual facts. I've heard Harold himself say, yeah, I guess it's inconvenient sometimes to do that. That kind of surprised me when he said that, but I think we're talking about the solution that's going to help, that's going to serve the most people the most efficiently as we strive to follow the law about recycling. So that's it. That's what I have to say.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. And I just wanted to add that we appreciate the community's involvement. This has been a tough decision for the council. We've heard a lot of people came to our meeting. We've had a lot of emails. We've heard a lot of differing views. It's been a difficult decision, but I think I can speak for myself at least that this is a change that will give a good opportunity for all Fanwood residents to recycle. And it gives an opportunity for each and every household to make sure that we're recycling. Like the mayor said earlier, we don't want to see any households throwing recyclable goods in the garbage. We want to avoid that. We want to get as much recyclables, our recycling rate as high as possible, and I'm confident this is the way to accomplish that goal.
Thank you.
This is, the closing of the recycling center is kind of bittersweet for me. It's just something that I've learned to do. And I basically recycled even before the recycling center opened. I would take my stuff to various towns whenever, on a Saturday, whatever. I read in the newspapers that they were recycling X, Y, or Z. So this is, closing the center is, as I said, kind of bittersweet. I would hope that we can work with the county in some way to maybe keep the recycling center functioning in some capacity so that people can still bring the things that are not picked up at curbside. And I'm speaking of the electronics and the fluorescent bulbs and other things that the county now does, but on a movable rotation throughout the county, and maybe they can establish, hopefully, some kind of permanent existence there. I would like to see that very much. I am encouraged by the fact that Tom and Jack went out to see exactly where the recyclables would be going. I think that was important to most of us who are basically have been recycling for most of our lives. So, and I would hope too that the Recycling Association somehow reinvents itself so that, and I'm not quite sure how to do this, when we spoke with Harold, I said that we would like to, as a council, help them somehow reinvent themselves to, and I'm not so sure how, but to reinvent themselves so that this can be an ongoing function of the borough.
Thank you. I'll give an opportunity down here, please.
Well, I know that some people may be disappointed in the decision that we are making. I think it can be appreciated that it's a well thought out decision. We just didn't fall into this last week. This has been an ongoing process for a number of years, of which this is the culmination of a lot of research. And I want to thank Councilman Molinar and Councilman Krantz for actually doing the site visit and doing that work so that we could all feel comfortable with what goes on once the recyclables leave the borough of Fanwood. To ease the transition, I don't think it was highlighted yet, so we're going to have a couple of months here before we transition over to the curbside. So the mayor and council, and we plan on doing a lot of educational work on what people can expect to to sort of ease the anxiety about all the questions that people may have about how this is all going to work. I think once we get that component of it done over the summer, I think people will feel a little bit more comfortable with the new way of recycling here at Fanwood. And we'll see them just as we throw out our trash twice a week. So with that, I'll turn it over to Councilwoman Walker.
I guess I just have two thoughts that haven't been shared. I ran for office because I think this is an amazing community. And I think the decision, the toiling over the decision to go to curbside is just another example of how amazing this community is and how dedicated this community is to doing what we believe is right, is good for each other, is good for our community, is good for the larger community. I don't think that this decision will change that about us. But I also recognize, especially as a mother of boys, that there were a lot of volunteer opportunities provided to multiple groups at the recycling center. That is a loss, and I believe as a community that it is important for us to teach our kids and our families that service to one another is a very, very important part of life. And so I look forward to developing other opportunities within this community for our kids to do projects, to do work for each other, for this town, for others outside of this community who might be suffering, that will teach them those same values. So that's going to be my goal as well, is to make sure that there are other opportunities in this community and we provide them to our youth to teach them the same values that they have learned at the recycling center. And just to reiterate that what Mayor Marr said, and that's that I do strongly believe, no matter what side of this issue families and individuals have been on, that to everyone in this community that I know, families with children to people whose children have already grown, recycling is truly an important value to all. And we did not take this decision lightly because we understand how important it is to everyone. So.
My role in this, I kind of look at it as the chair of Public Works, and during that site visit we had last week, our Borough Administrator Eleanor McGovern came to check out the PMUA site. Also, our Public Works Director Clint Dixon came. Kathy couldn't make it that morning, but she was all ready to go. But we were all trying to do our homework. But and also our Chief Financial Officer has also looked at all this, and that's Fred Tompkins. And I was happy to note that Clint, our Public Works Director, was happy with what he's found at PMUA, the equipment they have, how clean the site was, how professional that they are over there, how there even might be other opportunities for bulk waste there. So there's other things that they do, and it was a good site visit. We were just lucky the fact that that organization really has stepped up in the last couple of years and is really doing a good job. And we all probably, I know some people that live in Plainfield that have this service currently. So it's something that people I've talked to there don't have a problem with the current service that they're getting through the recycling. And they've already toured Fanwood a couple of times to assess how they would do this. So we're working on it to make sure that they can understand what Fanwood is, what the streets are, and how it could work. Luckily, we're right next door, so it's not that hard for them to take us on. So that was also a plus to all this. So a lot of things kind of lined up nicely on this, and that worked out. Now, my big thing to looking at going to curbside was I kept looking at this thinking about this after the public meeting is how is that I didn't feel with our current that we were providing a service now that every resident could get to. And I kind of thought about it, how would we provide, say, a public works department or a police department that only served a portion of the town? And I thought if I'm using public dollars, I need to provide a program that we have to provide that fits the highest percentage of residents possible. And I was feeling, based on a lot of the input we're getting, people that didn't come out, families that I knew that were not recycling or hiring someone else to do it for them. There was all these examples started coming out of the woodwork of people that weren't necessarily bringing their recyclables there anymore. So I felt as a governing body, if we're to provide a program and using your tax dollars, it really needs to provide that service to everyone. So that's where I kind of came down on the recycling and curbside. But I'd like to thank all our fellow councilman and mayor and all the work that our administrators, we've all done a lot of work on this. And it's, you know, interesting debate. We don't typically in Fanwood have a lot of debates. This was one of them, and I think the February meeting and us really thinking about this was really a good model for us, and I think it worked well. So thank you for everyone that has participated.
Okay. We're going to allow the public to weigh in a minute. We're just going to go through some of our final council reports. So,
Sure.
Councilman Evil.
Thank you. I have the payment of claims here. I don't have the tax collector's report.
I don't have it.
Oh, okay.
She's on vacation, so
Okay,
I'll
I
have it
didn't
next
know.
month.
Okay, great, not a problem. So I'll move the payment of claims. The claims are in the amount of $1,824,935.99. It's been approved on the bill list, so I'll move the payment of claims.
May I have a second, make a roll call?
Leslie Abel?
Yes.
Kevin Morris?
Yes.
Tom France?
Yes.
Aaron McElroy Barker?
Yes.
Kathy Mitchell?
Yes.
Jack Maloney?
Yes.
Motion carried.
And then finally, I'm also the liaison to the fire department, so I have the chief's report for the month of April. There are 20 calls for service in the borough, 3 electrical fires, 1 garage fire, and 2 house lockouts. And I was not one of them. So, and the good news is that there were no injuries reported, so
You call the fire department to get yourself locked out?
I don't know. I didn't know.
I don't know what that means.
I've never locked myself out of the house. So anyway, that's the chief's report for the month of April, and that concludes my
Okay. Just remind me where I should go next with the council report?
Public Works.
Where our public works?
Yeah,
Okay.
Public Works.
Okay, so Councilman Mullen.
Well, our major function really this past month was really talking about recycling, which we've already talked about. So Clint has given a report, Public Works, and some of the things they've done this past month is some of the things they do, and I'm just trying to highlight some of the things they do that you might not know they do. They actually go around and repair signs, or street signs, and that's some of the things that Public Works does. That's part of their responsibility. They also do some shade tree pruning along various streets, so that's another thing our Public Works does. They also drag the infields and line the baseball fields. They do that 3 times a week at Forest Road and LeGrand. So I guess baseball's in full swing. The Yankees wouldn't be evidence of that, but you know, at least here in Fanwood, you know, baseball's in full swing. Nothing? Okay, good. They also, I've said it before, but they also make sure the tennis courts are clear for twice a week for a high school tennis team that's practice on our court, so they blow the leaves off of there. And they did finish the spring leaf pickup and the annual spring brush pickup in all quadrants, and they're spraying for weeds as well. Doing your typical spring things that everyone else does, they're doing the same thing on our borough property and trying to keep Fanwood nice and green. And that's all I have for them.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
So Recreation Commission meets next week, so there's nothing new from them at the moment, from last month. And I did attend the Board of Ed meeting last week, which was primarily focused on a continuation of the discussion about the proposed parking lot at the, between the middle school and School 1, and it was very, very well attended, and I'm proud to say that I was taking notes, and literally every speaker was from Fanwood who got up and spoke, and there was a lot of feeling in the room that building the parking lot could be very bad for the environment, worsen the flooding in the areas of Madison and Willow, take away green space that's valuable to the children, potentially be dangerous. Some of the things that were expressed here, but there were more speakers. The Board of Ed did respond that there had been another discussion of the shared services meeting, and they had come to the Scotch Plains meeting, and that we're working with both police departments to look at permit parking in the street as an alternative and how many spots that might create, because they emphasize that they need 61. So there's a lot of encouragement from the audience for them to be creative about solutions. And there was some expression from the board that they had been working on this in shared services for 2 years and hadn't gotten another resolution, but we're certainly willing to work on one now.
So that's where, that's sort of where they seem to be at the moment, is figuring out with the police what can be done in the two communities, and they're also waiting to hear from DEP about whether or not they can move the parking lot closer to the creek with the turtle or not. So those things are still unresolved. But that was pretty much the whole meeting.
Is there a meeting to discuss this among the three entities?
They had a shared services meeting prior to that meeting.
Oh.
And I assume they have them regularly.
We happened to meet, like the next day, I think it was.
Yes.
You know, from
Oh,
our
that was
meeting.
the board meeting.
Because after our last Monday night meeting, we met Tuesday, I think it was, or something like that, and then the council, the Board of Ed was Wednesday.
So it was fresh in everybody's mind?
It was fresh in everybody's mind, yes, and sort of the history of what had happened and what had not happened. So we expressed our concern, and we kind of went over what we believed to have been the initial request of the Board of Ed, with the initial amount of around 40 parking spots, and then we got into a discussion over the growth of that number, and we are going to be meeting with the DEP. I think we're going back and forth with some dates.
Yes.
I think the beginning of June,
Yes, I think that's.
where representatives from the DEP will be there to come on site to address some of our concerns that we have, as well as to walk through the process. And we also committed to work with the Board of Ed to find where we can reduce the demand of the parking spaces on site, to try to come up with alternatives. And those alternatives for us would probably be on-street parking for teachers whose cars don't tend to move during the day, which is a large majority of them, as I believe, that they come early and then they'll stay right there. And so, working with Chief Trigo, we have to find that balance of how far out, what that means, and the ripple effects of such a solution. So I think that it's an ongoing discussion, and I think that we have the Board of Ed commitment to discuss what can be done as far as moving forward.
Just to add, actually, there were a lot of speakers, including a lot of kids. There were a few young girls who presented a handwritten petition of a bunch of kids, and a few kids gave some speeches about how they thought that it would affect them, and I think that had a good bit of impact. The one thing that I did learn that night that was not clear to me in our last meeting was that no matter where they put this parking lot, if they have to kind of move it 150 feet away, or if they get an exception and they have to push it closer, they are still going to lose half of that field. It's just a matter of which half, which I didn't understand. So a lot of families at the meeting were not satisfied with that solution, because even though it's a safer solution, it's still a lot more paving, it could potentially cause a lot more flooding, and it's still the loss of basically the same amount of green space,
Right.
which I didn't know when we had them here. So that was new information for me.
Well, I think that the challenge is to find a solution to something that they are experiencing that is somehow not going to have an adverse effect on our community, whether that is the fields, the reduction of the fields, or putting parked cars on our streets in front of people's homes who may not want that. But one way or the other, they have a issue with the amount of cars that come really primarily from Park. Junior high, I think, has really been the driver, the feeder.
Yeah, certainly that was the bulk of it.
For this.
Yeah.
So I think that that's the challenge. So.
And to be fair, they did express that they have an obligation to give the teachers a place to park when they come to work, and that's obviously something that has to be important to them as well, so that has to be a part of their solution. But they did seem willing to be open to whatever solution works the best.
Okay. Anything else? We're going to open the meeting up in a minute to the public. Councilman Krantz?
Thanks, Mayor. Just two quick things. I was at the May Board of Health meeting. The main thing that they talked about at length was You might recall 2 meetings ago, we had our health officer, Megan Avalone, was here, and she did a presentation on a proposal to introduce an ordinance that would require anybody purchasing any tobacco products to be 21. Currently, it's 19. I think everybody here was basically in favor of that. There seemed to be no downside. The board has, at her recommendation, decided to table that ordinance for now because there is essentially a law that's going through the state legislature right now that would do the exact same thing. I think that their feeling is that it would be better if it were done at the state level instead of having every single municipality do it. And even though the governor, I believe, vetoed the last version, they seem to think that this one may see the light. So I think between that and the fact that 2 weeks ago the FDA basically said cigarettes shouldn't be sold to anybody under 19, there seemed to be a lot of stuff percolating about this, so I think they thought that they would put this off at least until the August meeting and see what the legislature did. And then for EMS week, we, the Rescue Squad, for the past 6 or 7 years, we've offered free CPR classes to the community. There's one happening right now, in fact, right across the way at the Rescue Squad. We actually added a class this year. We typically did Saturday all day, or Saturday morning, and then 2 weeknights. We added a 3rd weeknight this week because the demand is pretty overwhelming for those classes. And that continues to be a great service that we're doing for our town. It's completely free. We have a lot of return customers, people who come every 2 years to redo their certification. And I just want to thank the volunteers who are making that happen, and thank the community for their support for that. That's it, Mayor.
Thank you, and to wrap up our reports, Councilwoman?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to report on the ministerium, which I don't usually do. However, I'm reporting it tonight only because Moms Demand Action gave a presentation to the ministerium. And for those of you who don't know what the ministerium is, it's a group of clergy people and civic leaders who meet once a month. But anyway, and I mention it only because it evoked quite a conversation regarding this, and everyone seemed to be on board, and many of the houses of worship wanted to do this presentation in their own congregation. So I think that's a step in the right direction, and I'm glad we're going forward with the event here in Fanwood. Let me see the library. Apparently the tutoring services that I spoke about for the past couple of months is going very well. It is an online tutoring service being offered free at the library. You have to go to the website, and it will give you all the directions step by step how to avail yourself of the service. And it's basically a service because because of lack of space for tutors. Apparently the library in the afternoon, every table is taken up with a tutor. So, and also they've had some very special programs at the library, a couple of which have been standing room only. So I guess because of lack of chairs and because they were popular events, but anyway, the lack of space basically was the overwhelming reason why. And let me see, I went to the seniors also. They have, for those of you who are seniors in the audience and you would like to join the Fanwood Seniors, they now have openings because they have gone through and cleaned out their roster of people who haven't been there for several years. So if this is something that interests you, please get in touch with Joe Bruno, and you can find his number on our website. They had Overlook Hospital there for the last time, and Overlook has a new program called New Vitality, and it's specifically for seniors. And it offers all kinds of things for seniors. They have a nutritionist and skin cancer screening, and they do have Thursday Senior Supper Club for $5. You can get a free a 3-course dinner. They have all kinds of events for seniors. So if this is something that you would like to avail yourself, I will leave this with Mrs. McGovern, and she can, or you can actually call Overlook Hospital too, and get some more information about it. We have a Girl Scout in town who wants to do a green fair. Her name is Erin Hernandez. She is working toward her gold badge, and she will be doing a green fair here on the Borough lawn in the front of the Borough Hall on July 23rd. And she's very busy working, very enthusiastic and very busy working up plans to encourage all the green people in town, vendors, things like that, to come out. So I hope this is as successful as Rocky for Autism was. I don't think there'll be any bands though. But, so I will have much more information on that in the next couple of months. The Shade Tree Commission has done their spring planting. They also, I think as Tom can attest, they had a very successful Arbor Day celebration. And basically they honored Earl Phillips, who is a lifetime Fanwood resident. He served on our police department that was his line of work, but he's also served on the Shade Tree Commission for probably 25 years. And he's in his 90s, and he finally decided to retire from the Shade Tree Commission, so we honored him. Our Performing Arts Series is continuing. I did go to that last last Saturday. They had two very, very good singers, and they're, as I've told you before, these are all basically local people. So we have a lot of talent out there, so if you really want to hear some good music, I encourage you to come. The rescue squad, as Tom said, I don't have a report, but they're doing the CPR classes still. And also, I think you all got a card in the mail that they're doing their fund drive this month. So please be as generous as you can. They need the money. What do they need the money for, Tom? Because I know they do. No, but there are lots to keep up their. They have to
pay all
go
their
to classes,
bills, buy all their stuff.
Yeah, they have to do everything like that. So they are dependent on the community, and we basically just take them for granted. So let's not take them for granted and send in your donation. I think that's it, Mayor. I've talked enough.
Okay, thank you. At this point, I'd like to have a motion to open the meeting to the public.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to call forward any members of the public, and when you come forward to the podium, I just need you to identify yourself and state your name and your address, please.
Good evening. My name is Carolyn Joe. I am 10 years old. I live at 75 Woodland Avenue in Fanwood, and I'm in 4th grade at school in elementary. 3 weeks ago, I irritated the growth plate in my ankle. I had to get a soft cast for the first week. In the last 2 weeks, I had to wear a boot. As you can see, it covers my whole foot. And up to right under my knee. The boot is heavy and bulky. I found when I walked up and down the stairs, the boot didn't fit on the stairs. It was too big for the small step. I had to grip the railing extra hard and walk sideways to fit my boot on the stairs. I had to move slowly. I couldn't move faster because I would most likely lose my balance and fall. At the library, all children's books and movies are downstairs. The steps there seemed even more narrow than at school. With the boot, I felt less willing to go because it was a lot of work. At home, I can slowly go down the stairs, sitting and scooting down. At school, I can ride the elevator if the stairs were too crowded or challenging. But at the library, there were no other options to walk down, but to walk down uncomfortably. I don't have to wear this boot anymore because the ankle is healed completely. I'll enjoy being a kid, walking and running with my friends. But I will always remember how hard it was to be forced to walk slower, how scared I was I might fall while I learned how to go on stairs with the bulky boot. I'll appreciate walking without a boot or a cast so much more.
Thank you. Anybody else want to come up? Well, thank you very much for sharing with us how difficult it was, and how much you appreciate going to the library. And we appreciate that. Thank you.
You're
It
welcome.
was very well written and said. Good job.
If that's it for the younger group, my name is Dave Schwartzberg. I'm a long-term resident of Madison Avenue, over 45 years. And while it's not while I'm here tonight, I just wanted to add some comments to Councilwoman Baker's report on the school board meeting. I had a strong impression that the school board is 100% behind putting the parking in the field behind School 1 and Park Middle. It's based on their answers to questions. There were several options put out from the floor as alternatives. Everyone was, no, we can't do that because. The idea of the permanent parking, we talked to the Shared Service Committee starting 2 years ago. It didn't work out. Fanwood didn't support it. Scotch Plains didn't support it. This is what they said at the meeting. Now, I knew differently, but we didn't challenge. When the point was made about the children from School 1 using those fields during school to play and run around and get exercise, if they lost that to a parking lot, the answer from, and I'm not sure if it was from Ms. Hayes or from another member of the school board, well, they can use the field on the other side of the creek to play. They can't do that. The only way to get to that field is to go to Park Avenue and walk across the bridge to get there, or to walk around to East 2nd Street and walk in behind the buildings. There's no way to get from School 1 to that field. Another suggestion was made about using the open field on the other side of the creek as a parking area. I think it was Ms. Hayes that said, oh no, we were told that that's green space, we can't use that, we can't put anything on that. I investigated with the DEP. There are 17 areas in Scotch Plains that are restricted by Green Acres funding and other state requirements. That is not one of them. It is possible that it is encumbered by some agreement that Scotch Plains made, either an internal ordinance like we've done here in Fanwood with our nature center, or maybe they used some funding from a Scotch Plains green properties tax to do some development on that site, like maybe put the base pads on or the fence behind home plate on a couple of those fields. If that's the case, it is encumbered as if it were a Green Acres funded site. But in my discussions with the DEP, there are very straightforward, simple ways to overcome those objections. And I think if Scotch Plains supports it, we can make that happen. Ideas came up about using St. Bart's as a possible parking area because those parking areas are open during the day. Too far away. Well, it's only 2,000 feet. I measured it today. That's far for a school teacher to have to walk. But even if they put the parking behind School 1, they probably have 700 or 800 feet to walk before they get to the park. And I'm not saying that that's the answer, but the immediate response from the board was, can't happen, too far. I just saw tonight for the first time, somebody did a redesign of the existing parking area to make it more like the parking at Home Depot up in Watchung. They can add how many spaces?
So, I mean, I'm not a space planner.
Excuse me, sir. You're going to contribute, please come to the mic.
Sorry. Lee Foreman, also resident of Fanwood. I actually live right next to School 1, so I get to observe a lot of activity things. So anyway, so I have two kind of overheads. This is the existing, and this is from the last time the Google Earth satellite, did a snapshot. So I don't know how long ago it is, but I don't know if you've ever passed into this parking lot. Have you ever been in a hurry to drop off a kid or make it to a function, and you go into this parking lot, and it's very kind of difficult to navigate. It's a large lot. It's just laid out really horribly. I mean, it really is. So the funny part is this was raised in the meeting, and we were told that no, there's not a chance. That a study had. I don't know if they said it had been done or they weren't.
They had designed it.
They spent $100,000 with an engineering firm to come up with this
design, so they're committed to making this happen.
Right, that was kind of the impression.
They can use the same kind of a parking layout that they use at Home Depot and get many, 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 many more spaces than they have today. And I don't know that that's the answer, but the idea is they should be open to other discussions rather than taking fields away from children who play on that every day. There was a soccer game going on Saturday morning.
Yeah.
There are alternatives, and the board needs to take those into account. And I think a strong position by Fanwood and in cooperation with Alan Mirabella from Scotch Plains and Mayor Glover in Scotch Plains, we can make something happen that is good for everybody, good for the teachers, good for the children.
Well, I think, not to cut you off, but I think that therein lies the challenge, to be perfectly honest with you. I think that the challenge for us is to drill down on what these alternatives are and present them to them. You know, because my understanding is, you know, we're going to have to present them with alternatives to this existing layout. And even if we could find X number of spots to reduce the total number, you know, they still have just a smaller, maybe a little smaller lot to do. But we have our engineer, Peter, who's here tonight, specifically to, and I asked him to come tonight to really, you know, hear what's going on here and to be able to really be a liaison to the engineer at the Board of Ed.
They're from the same firm.
Right, exactly. Hence, you know, for us, I think that works in our favor, to be honest with you, because we have the ability for access of information and to really understand where they are in the process. And so far that has worked, you know, I think in being able to get the right information here. You know, Peter, I think, you know, he brings up some good points, you know, specifically with the layout of the parking lot. I know we had talked about that when the board was here, and
The board did address it, and they were pretty clear, despite the feelings in the audience, that they had maximized the number of spots that they could get out of that parking space. They also, there was some suggestion of, you know, moving the buses, why do they have to be here, and sort of the loopy nature of the parking lot. And they also seemed pretty clear that that was drawn up that way to make it safer, because there were safety hazards prior to, I guess, making it that way. I would also say that there was a lot of turning down of ideas, but my sense by the end a little bit, and Eleanor and I spoke about this, was that there seemed to be quite a bit of pressure to work with shared services to come up with alternatives. And in the end, it seemed to me that they were more inclined to listen by the end.
I hope so.
Maybe I'm being an
I really hope
optimist,
so.
I don't know. But that was, and I was impressed by the stories of flooding and the difficulties the surrounding streets already have.
So I want to just speak to a little bit of that, because I know Dave, you know what I mean, you live right there, you know what you're talking about. You know what I mean, there's a point of reference here that they will, you know, that the board will say that improvements to the lot will kind of improve all of the flooding because of the drainage that will be put into the ground, the earth.
They'll say that, but that's not true.
Right, and so I think that piece is worth a few minutes to hear what you have to say to that point.
Okay. The flooding is another issue.
Right now.
This is the parking lot, and neither of those two were the reasons I'm here tonight. But let's address that a little bit. The flooding, and I have some photographs here that, again, Mr. Foreman took. These I definitely need back. We've left them with the board on 2 occasions. One, 3 or 4 years ago, when they agreed to fix it and nothing happened. And I learned from the school administrator, oh yeah, we still have those photos from 3 or 4 years ago. We're going to be meeting with them sometime in the next week or 2 or 3.
The board.
With the representative of the board, Ms.
Sadaki. Yeah, she's the business administrator.
And the buildings and grounds manager or director, and maybe hopefully somebody from the engineering firm, and we could see the exact issues that are causing the flooding to the 5 homes on the Russell Avenue, well, basically the Willow Avenue side of Madison Avenue. But all of the downspouts from the roof of the school come right down into these backyards. And there's no ground, there's no unpaved area between the school and these homes. And you literally have a river that flows through. And it's unsafe, it's damaging property, and that has to be fixed, regardless of what happens with the parking. So that's a separate issue, and I'm trying to treat them separately. But there's a solution to that. It's not a difficult solution. One thing we could do is just bring a couple of yards of dirt, reinforce it, and just build up our yards. The problem is that'll cause more flooding on school property, and they'll come after us for causing flooding on the school. And they have a lot more stroke than I do as an individual. So we don't want to do that. We want to solve the problem in the right way. So I don't know if you could join us for this meeting. I would love to have you there.
Well, just keep Eleanor informed of when you schedule that meeting, you know, as family residents dealing with the property issue with the Board of Ed. I think we have an ability to.
Okay, because we would certainly need your support to make this happen.
Sure, we should know about it.
Just an idea of what the downspouts look like right now. The reason I'm here this evening, as a longtime Madison Avenue resident, and many of the other folks that are here are also longtime Madison Avenue residents. We've had a disaster on Madison Avenue for a year, well over a year, between the 4-foot water line being put in, the new high-pressure gas line put in, the potholes, and Clinton and his people have done a good job of patching and trying to keep it livable. But it's a physical and visual nightmare. We know that that's been the case. We know there's plans to pave the road. I understand there's some issues. We don't have to get into those today. But also there's a sidewalk going in. Some of us have a problem with the sidewalk on our side of Madison Avenue. And just personally, you know my situation where I'm a Fanwood homeowner, but a Florida resident.
Right.
And I'm concerned with what happens when it snows if I'm in Florida and getting the sidewalk cleared, so I have a concern with that. But there's other concerns, we don't have to get into that. But with the paving of the road, with the new sidewalk, the new curbs, the possibility of permitted parking on the street, I personally think that would be a disaster on our end of Madison for many reasons. The possible narrowing of the street of Madison Avenue. There's a lot of issues that are going on that I think need to be discussed in a cohesive, coordinated plan put together so that the right things are done. And we're not going to resolve those things tonight. There's no time to get into details. But what I would like to do is to get the commitment of the council to meet with the Fanwood residents, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 reps on the town council, to meet with the Madison Avenue folks and come up with a review of ideas and plans and just let the folks on Madison Avenue get some input into what's going to happen. We recognize we're good citizens. Sometimes you got to make sacrifices. Sometimes you got to do things you don't want. But we should be putting this together as a coordinated, cohesive plan as opposed to individual things.
Yeah, I was out there last year with some residents when I was the chairman of Public Works. Maybe there was about 10 residents there, so. And we discussed the plans for Madison Avenue, but certainly the project is still not imminent. So a lot of the information that I probably gave at that time has probably left the brain. So maybe it needs to be updated, or I'm willing to meet with, people again. If that's the case.
No, I mean, usually we have a resident meeting.
Right. What I did was an informal type of thing, because there were concerns over the conditions of the street as he's recounting.
Right. So part of what we, as a council, feel very strongly about is, investing in our infrastructure, with our roadways, and sort of have a systematic approach to where we go with trying to get grant money and following a logical order of how the roads are, what shape they're in. The sidewalks, what we have seen, and really is the amount of children and commuters and residents who walk, and to the train station and to the school area there. And, you know, it was important to us to really get people off the streets and onto sidewalks where they existed, or introduce sidewalks where they didn't exist. As we have done over the last several years into Russell and Farley and Hunter, you know, up towards North Avenue as the connector there. So that was the idea and the reasoning behind it. And we know that sidewalks are not always met universally with embrace. We understand that. We understand that people who never had a sidewalk don't necessarily want a sidewalk. They don't want to be responsible for shoveling the snow. But in some of these cases where we look at sort of the real big picture of our community and the health and safety, it becomes really apparent that sidewalks have a place. And where we've introduced them, where they haven't been before, they've really provided a very good service. Correct, Councilman? Is what, you know, and the residents who were kind of the most jaded and didn't want it ended up really appreciating what a sidewalk can do for their immediate neighborhood. We have the plans. We went after some federal money to help underwrite the cost, you know, which came through the DEP for the Safe Routes to School. With that came, which we didn't really foresee, a tremendous kind of bells and whistles and a lot more reporting, which sort of bogged down the process of the speed. And we're toying with what to really do, you know, because it's significant money. How much is it, Peter? It's $200,000 to offset the road improvements, but it comes with a drag on reporting, as the federal government can do like no others. So we understand that the patience is worn out. We understand that you've lived with the water and the gas. And it's been a problem. And now with the problems with the parking lot conversation and then adding into the permit parking, you know, the residents that were here a week ago, or 2 weeks ago at this point, it's interesting, there was a lot of them in favor for going onto the streets. You know, I wouldn't say universal, but I mean, it wasn't met because we actually had a conversation about it, you know, for that. So therein lies our challenge with addressing some of these issues, is trying to build a consensus and finding a solution. But we have the plans, right, Peter?
Yes.
We have the plans, so let's get a schedule. You know, usually we could do it at, you know, wherever, Carriage House or wherever, and we'll notice it, and do it sooner rather than later for anyone to see the path. You know, we try to save trees at all cost. You know, we go out of our way to save trees, and we go out of our way to kind of really, you know, work with the residents there. And we'll also insert ourselves into the parking conversation a lot more with the board.
Well, in addition though, besides the sidewalk and the road and the location of the sidewalk, I understand there's a possibility that you'll be building out a little bit and take some of the road, some of the
No, I mean, the roads.
The width of Madison Avenue, is it next down quite a bit towards Russell, between Russell Road and Willow.
Yeah, it's going to be 30 feet uniform. Right now, it's 30 to 32 feet, give or take. You know, meanders a little bit, but it's going to be a 30-foot uniform wide road.
From Russell to Willow?
From
because
Hunter,
it's wider.
Hunter to...
Or Hunter to
Marcine.
Okay.
So I think what you're saying, Peter, is that the whole length is going to be uniform to 30 feet.
Yes.
And right now, it's 30, and there's some areas of 32 feet.
Yeah, it goes up a few spots here and there,
Yeah.
kind of meanders as you go.
Okay,
Gets a
which
little
is why
wider near Martine, I believe.
It definitely is wider at Martine Avenue side.
So, which is
Russell
why
and Martine.
you have the existing conditions
Yeah.
measured, which is why I think we need to...
And it's always a balance, saving trees with the roadway. Sometimes that's why you want to narrow the road a little bit to save some. I know there's a really significant large tree near Martine that we definitely want to save. It's a big massive tree, and that's one of the reasons why there we have to go just a little bit narrower to make sure we don't impact that tree at all.
Okay, so I think it's time that those plans, and the scheduling gets put out. I think they paved like one half of the street, the utility company did like last year, which was, you know.
We did ask for the whole, but
For that one half, the belts went up by the gas company.
Okay. Okay.
Well, you've got several Madison Avenue residents here. There's a level of concern, a very serious level of concern, and we'd like to have input into what's going to happen with our street before the commitments are made to make that happen.
Well, I think that we have the plans, and so I think our commitment tonight is to make sure that, you know, we give you an opportunity to go over what we have proposed. It has the existing conditions and it has the improvements there. It has, you know, the width of the streets, it has the sidewalks, it has saving of the trees, you know, it has the curb-to-curb replacement, it's got the Belgian block, it's got the new driveway aprons, you know, it's a full road reconstruction, which you gotta just, you know, we understand because we've had a couple of jobs that have gone over the course of the years dragged out, and it's painful, and I will acknowledge that. But the end products have always been ones that people really like, you know, so I think, Peter, you just got to set that.
And I'm not against what the existing plans are. What I'm looking for is to have input from those of us on Madison Avenue that are going to be affected by whatever happens.
Okay. Okay, I think that's more than fair, and we can do that sooner rather than later. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do that pretty soon, right? Sure. Okay.
And I was going to hopefully get to speak with you privately, but just let me ask now. I think it's important for me to be part of that meeting with the DEP. And the answer that I got from Ms. Sudeikis is it's not open to the public, it's only for town officials. And as a town official on the Environmental Commission, I would think that I would be allowed to be one of a couple of people from Fanwood attending that meeting.
I know that we have not gotten a date scheduled. You know, I think personally.
Want me to deputize him?
I'm already on the Environmental Commission, so technically I can have input.
I mean, if we're going to get technical.
I don't have any problem with you being there. You know, you are on the Environmental Commission, you know, this is something that you have weighed in on historically over the course of the years for the town in general. You know, we were going to have representatives there, you know, so
I wouldn't want to be the only one by any means from Fanwood, but I would like to be part of a Fanwood coalition.
Team. Yeah. Yes. I don't see any reason for that.
I know they object to it, but I don't see any reason why you can't have it.
And this is the board, I've had a lot of experience with the Board of Education over the years. They're not fit for people in this world, but that's a separate issue. And also.
Because we are the ones, Fanwood is the ones that have actually initiated the idea of the meeting, so.
And I think it would be beneficial if I could meet with Al Mirabella before the DEP meeting.
Sure.
To help sell him on some of the ideas that we have, because I think Scotch Plains would support these issues.
This is what I will say. Our shared services meeting that we had immediately following was really marked by throwing, you know, with Mayor Glover, really kind of putting alternatives out there, you know, as best as he could, given what we had to, you know, what our options were. So I don't see any problems with, you know, if there's solutions that make sense that we can walk through in presenting them. I think that between the two communities, I think there's a commitment there. I don't think that's an overreach for me to say that.
Okay. Well, I don't, there's a shared services meeting coming up before the DEP meeting, that would be good.
Probably not, because we meet like every other month and we just met.
Well, okay, then it's not going to happen.
But that's okay, because there's enough conversation going on right now. I mean, I feel pretty confident that the right people are.
The key issue is if there is a restriction on the fields on the other side of the creek, for whatever reason, and there isn't anything on the official records of the DEP about it, but if there is a restriction, the DEP has to approve any taking of an encumbered piece of property. There's a couple of criteria that have to be met, and it's going to take Mayor Glover and Al Mirabella to feel that it makes sense for Scotch Plains to
We can
follow
look into
through
that,
on
because
that.
that was
They must
originally.
have something, because it was mentioned in a couple of meetings, I'm not sure
It may
exactly.
be more from the county, to be honest with you, because that was funded.
I have a lot of friends in the county too,
Yeah,
but
so I think that we need to just find that out, and we can sort of talk offline about that piece.
Okay, but I would like to meet
Yeah.
with Al and
Yeah, no, I
get
understand.
the ideas across, because I think there's some good solutions for everybody that don't encumber or don't take
Sure.
the
Well, that's
benefits
the
away
key.
from the kids.
We gotta start really just putting them out, that's the key right now. Time is, we're up against the wall.
Okay, appreciate it.
Thank you very much, David. Okay, anybody else wish to, come up?
This is the field I'm talking about. Why don't
Harold Clark, 216 Second Street, Fanwood, president of the Fanwood Scotch Plains Recycling Association. First of all, I want to thank you for making the decision. And I certainly appreciate you taking the time to go and vet the people that you are thinking of working with for curbside. Appreciate that very much, because as we said, we're all concerned about what actually happens to the stuff once it gets beyond the boundaries of Fanwood. And so I really appreciate your having done that. It also, while the decision's not one that I agree with, it certainly gives us some certainty about the future of the association. And one of the things I did not hear addressed in the comments that you made, so I would appreciate some feedback, is how we're going to handle the financial support of the association in the interim so that we can continue to serve the public and make this as graceful a transition for the public as possible. I've already given Fred a set of figures to help him to get his arms around that. My main concern, frankly, is the $8,700 that groups have not received for their services since October. The association was set up by the borough to have recycling revenues support nonprofit groups. That was the rationale for the way Fanwood has been doing its recycling. And those groups really rely on those nonprofit groups rely on their funds. We had Girl Scouts here tonight. I know one Girl Scout troop that is banking on that money being able to help support their final trip as a troop in July. So the lack of what the situation and the uncertainty is causing problems, not just for the association, but for the association members in terms of handling their own finances. So, so you can imagine what it's been doing to the morale of the organizations. So I think one thing, excuse me, I would think one thing I think would be very helpful would be a good faith gesture from the council, who obviously values volunteers. You recognize them at the beginning of every one of your monthly meetings, would be an assurance to those groups that they will be paid for what they have done, and they will be paid going forward until whatever time the transition is made. So I offer that. I mean, I know you can't make it pass a resolution tonight, but at least a sense of sentiment.
I think
That's
that
something.
I understand that there's a commitment that the recycling center made, and it's been understood for the past 30 years that volunteers get whatever the stipend is, which is, what is it now,
225. We've dropped it from what we had before because of financial.
And I would certainly recommend that we make good on that, but the but is that it's not, the rules are changed now. This money is not, it's not recycling association money, it's taxpayer money now. And I know that you told us a couple weeks ago that the money that goes to pay for those groups isn't taxpayer money, it's from, I guess, it's from the sale of recyclables, but you're here tonight asking us basically to give taxpayer money to fund these volunteer groups. I don't basically have an issue with following through on a commitment that those groups have made, but it's not an automatic thing in my mind, and I think that other people need to weigh in on that as well, and I'd like to hear from Fred as well too.
Well, yeah, and I think therein lies what I was going to say, is that, Fred was supposed to be here tonight and wasn't feeling well at the last minute and is not here, and I know that I've seen the emails the last day or two, regarding sort of the overall funding, the numbers and what it's gonna take, to get to a point through, of which the organizational money is one component of
Yep.
some other requests that are out there. So this is what I would say. I would say that the council just got its arms wrapped around coming out of this decision, to make a public statement and to be ready to kind of move forward. I think the financial piece of it, Fred is working on. He knows what he budgeted for the year, what we have budgeted for the year. We've gotten the projections of what some of the issues are with the closing of the operations and some of the financial loans and other pieces that are surrounded there. So I think it all plays into the same conversation, to Councilman Kranz's point. So I would ask, just give us and give myself at least and Fred and Eleanor an opportunity to kind of discuss all of this.
Fine.
And I think that's really where we need to.
That's fine, I just want
leave it tonight.
to say the reason they haven't been paid is you've been using the money to fill the shortfall because the council has taken a long time to decide what it was going to do.
Right.
Plus, if the assumption from what I heard of the plan is that you want the association to continue to provide services until you've had time to educate the public and cut things over. That goes through the summer. Recruiting groups in the summer is very difficult. Staffing the center is more difficult in the summer than it is during the rest of the year because people are on vacation.
Sure.
And so groups don't sign up, or it's more difficult. They have fewer numbers of people to call on. Your decision tonight, you can imagine what that's going to do just to the overall sense. So I think having some reassurance from the borough that you will support us as part of this transition would be very helpful. That's all I want to say.
But I think that was part of the timing of this and sort of understanding the rollout and the transition. And we may not have drilled down onto all the specifics of what the transition is, but I think that's now where we're moving to. And I think that we need, a few days to kind of just wrap our arms around, this.
Oh, sure, I understand that. I'm just trying to make the council aware of the issue so that you know what all to work with. And you've also, by making the decision to go curbside, you haven't, you still have the issue. Now, let me put it this way. We've talked many times that curbside is not a one-for-one replacement for how Fanwood does recycling. And for example, the things that Councilwoman Mitchell brought up. We recycle a lot of things that curbside does not take, including some toxic things like fluorescent bulbs and electronics. And so I've heard the word close the center, so I guess as part of this whole thing, what guidance are you going to be giving the residents for those other materials that they are used to or have the opportunity right now to recycle at the center?
I will say this, that the decision to move forward with the curbside and moving forward with the review of a shared service agreement with the PMUA is very, just as of a few days ago. You know what I mean? In the sense of us coming to a sort of conclusion of where we feel it's best for the community. The items that you bring up tonight are very, very good ones, but ones that I think we need to sit down with you and anybody else within the organization within the next few days, within the next week, and start to really put all of this on the table. And I think that to go through it, this way doesn't do it justice, in the sense of having a conversation, like this versus sitting at a table, kind of looking at sort of all of that.
Absolutely agree.
I think I'll ask Eleanor to take the lead with Fred and Clint to kind of identify the whole laundry list of things that we have to really wrap our heads around before we do anything else at this point.
Okay, I guess I was just hoping that when I asked to make a decision, that it would have been a comprehensive decision. This is piecemeal one, but it's a step, so it's something to work with, and we'll be happy to work with with all of you and whomever you designate to figure out how to make this thing work the best way it can.
Thank you.
I do want to point out that going to curbside, in terms of Fanwood's reputation of being a green town, I'm a member of the Fanwood Green Team. Sustainable New Jersey, which is certified as its bronze, certifies towns not for doing what's mandated, but for going beyond. 30 of the points, of the 150 points, that's 20% that earned us our bronze, come from having a recycling center. It's from having a center, from recycling non-mandated materials, and recycling rigid plastics. So by going curbside, and we have to work out what to do, potentially making the work harder for your own green team in terms of Fanwood's certification because we were hoping to go to silver. We're going to have to make up those points somewhere. Again, this is part of that conversation we need to have around the center and its continuing to operate. I will say that, I'm saying that knowing that if the center continues, it will not continue with any sort of participation of the association, because the financial model on which the association is built upon the mandated materials, which is now going to be taken by curbside. So these are things that we need to discuss about, but I do want to make sure that Fanwood retains its reputation of being a community of volunteers and a community for which being green is important. And so I hope that we can work together to have the decision that direction you're moving in, make sure that is maintained. One last final question, it wasn't stated. What is the ballpark number for the PMA contract?
I think it's between 110 and 118 that I hear.
Okay, because I think residents need to know that will now become a permanent part of the Fanwood budget and have to be paid every year.
That won't be finalized until the next meeting when we
Of course,
pass
but
the
I mean,
resolution and
I
the
just,
lawyers
for the
take
sake of
over.
the conversation,
That's the ballpark.
wanted people to know what the ballpark number they were talking about. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else like to come forward at this point? Seeing that there isn't anyone, I'd like to have a motion to close the meeting to the public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Under old business, we have a second reading, public hearing, and we're just going to hold a public hearing tonight.
No, we can go forward with the public hearing. I just want to add that the general land use regulations to the downtown residential district, this ordinance at paragraph 4, the only addition is that these all new residential buildings shall be oriented so that they either face a common open space, public street, and we're adding or parking area. So that's the only difference. But we can go forward because it's a de minimis change. We can go forward with public hearing. We'll hold the vote until June so you can all see it in writing.
Okay.
You know.
Okay, so I'll ask Councilwoman McElroy Barker to please move the second reading public hearing.
I call up for the second reading ordinance number 16-03-R and request that the clerk, having produced affidavit of publication, also read the ordinance by title.
An ordinance adopting a revision to the redevelopment plan for the block bounded by South Avenue, Martin Avenue, LeGrand Avenue, and 2nd Street in the borough of Fanwood, New Jersey, pursuant to the local redevelopment and housing law NJSA 4812A-1 and following.
So I move that a public hearing be held on said ordinance. Motion.
May I have a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to call forward any members of the public that wish to make comment on the redevelopment plan amendments. Seeing that there isn't any, may I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then we just need to finish it.
I move that this ordinance be adopted on second reading and final passage, and if adopted, be published as required by law.
Okay. And mix.
Second.
I have a second, Councilman Molinar. Diane, do you want to weigh in before we do the roll call?
No, I didn't think we needed to take the roll call
We were
until
going
you
to take
actually.
the roll call tonight.
Right.
We're going to take it on the 7th of June.
So we just had the
Right, so
public
we'll-
hearing tonight?
Yes.
Okay,
So that you can
so
actually
we'll
see it.
there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Under,
Under,
I'll make a note of that in minutes that we're.
Okay,
Thank you.
under,
Mayor, we never closed the meeting to the public.
yeah, I did.
Yeah, he did.
On this part?
Yes. Yeah.
I'm not paying attention to that.
It's all being recorded.
Under new business.
I just wanted it open again.
Councilman Yubel.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll move resolution 16-05-71. This resolution is to authorize the clerk to seek RFQs for preparation of a new tax map
Okay,
of the borough.
okay, may I have a second on that?
Second.
May I have a roll call, please?
I'm sorry, which one are we doing
It's
again?
number 1.
160571, the tax map.
Okay, that's just to go out to get an RFQ. That's not a roll call. It's-
Oh,
Okay.
All of those.
Oh, okay.
Both of those. they are-
So, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next.
Next, I'll move resolution 16-05-72. This is to authorize our submission of a 2016 tonnage grant.
Okay, I have a second on that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Next, I'll introduce ordinance number 16-04 S and request that the title be read by the clerk.
It's a bond ordinance providing an appropriation of $1,245,000 for various capital improvements for and by the borough of Fanwood and the county of Union, New Jersey, and authorizing the issuance of $1,182,750 in bonds or notes of the borough for financing part of the appropriation.
I move that ordinance number 16-04-S be adopted on first reading, and if adopted, that the clerk advertise the ordinance as required by law, and that a second reading of said ordinance be held at a public hearing at Borough Hall, 75 North Martine Avenue, Fanwood, New Jersey, on June 6, 2016, at 7 o'clock or soon thereafter, as the matter to be heard. So that was, I moved that.
It was June 7th?
I will second.
That was June
Second,
7th.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next.
So do we need any discussion? No. So I'll move ordinance 16-05-R next, and request that the clerk read the title.
An ordinance of the Borough of Fanwood, County of Union, and State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 242 Sanitary Sewers, Article 3, User Charges, Section 242-9.2, Use of Terms of the Fanwood Borough Code regarding sewer user charges.
So I move that ordinance number 16-05-R be adopted on first reading, and if adopted, that by the clerk advertise the ordinance as required by law, and that a second reading be held of this ordinance at a public hearing at Borough Hall, 75 North Martine Avenue, Fanwood, New Jersey, on June 7th, 2016, at 7 p.m., or soon thereafter, as the matter can be heard.
Okay, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
So I'll proceed to item 4. I'll move resolution 16-05-65. This is to authorize our chapter 159 tonnage grants.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Russell Yogo?
Yes.
Catherine Mitchell?
Yes.
Kevin Boris?
Yes.
Tom Krantz?
Yes.
Erin McElroy Walker?
Yes.
Jack Mullenor?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next, I'll move resolution 16-05-66. This is awarding of a contract to Suppley Clooney to audit the Fanwood Crossing 3 project costs. Suppley Clooney is our own auditor, and we've asked them to take a look at the project costs for Fanwood Crossing 3.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Russell Yogo?
Yes.
Catherine Mitchell?
Yes.
Kevin Boris?
Yes.
Tom Krantz?
Yes.
Erin McElroy Walker?
Yes.
Jack Mullenor?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next, I'll move resolution 16-05-67. This is the awarding of a contract for janitorial services that are performed in the borough to BMI Janitorial.
Okay, and second?
Second.
We have a roll call.
Russell Yogo?
Yes.
Catherine Mitchell?
Yes.
Kevin Boris?
Yes.
Tom Krantz?
Yes.
Erin McElroy Walker?
Yes.
Jack Mullenor?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next, I'll move resolution 16-05-68. This is simply to authorize the refund of an over tax payment.
Second.
May I have a roll call, please?
Trustee Hugo?
Yes. to
Catherine
reappoint.
Mitchell? Yes. Kevin Boris?
Yes.
Tom France?
Yes.
Erin Walker?
Yes.
Jack Mullenhour?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next, I'll move resolution 16-05-69. This resolution is a special emergency resolution for the preparation of tax maps. Under state law, we are permitted to pay or finance for the tax maps over a number of years.
Second.
May I have a roll call?
Trustee Hugo?
Yes.
Catherine Mitchell? Yes. Kevin Boris?
Yes.
Tom France?
Yes.
Erin Walker?
Yes.
Jack Mullenhour?
Yes.
Motion carried.
And finally, I'll move resolution 16-05-70. This is awarding a contract to Renaissance Security for computer-related repairs. I believe we're getting a new server, and Renaissance is going to replace the wiring upstairs in Borough Hall, which we are in sore desperately in need of.
Okay. I have a second on that.
Second.
May I have a roll call?
Trustee Hugo?
Yes.
Catherine Mitchell? Yes. Kevin Boris?
Yes.
Tom France?
Yes.
Erin Walker?
Yes.
Jack Mullenhour?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay. I'd now like to have a motion to open the meeting to the public.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to call forward any members of the council that wish to comment on anything at this time. Public?
Council.
Haven't been elected yet.
Yeah.
Michael Lewis, 41 Beach Avenue in Fanwood. Just a quick follow-up with regards to the recycling center. There's been a lot of discussion with regards to the potential for the raising of the minimum wage, the PMUA contract that's going to be locked in for 3 years.
Yes.
Yes. And they won't have the right to flow something through in the event that the minimum wage is raised.
I believe that's something while we're going through the finals of the agreement, we'll be looking at.
Yeah, the attorney needs to.
We haven't signed the agreement yet, so.
But there's also, I think, and I have to read it, but I think there is something about any sort of
Extraordinary cost.
pass-through costs that aren't agreed upon, that we have to agree to at the time,
But
you
we
know.
have the right to escape those.
Yeah, so.
Well, we won't have anything to escape to.
I always have something to escape to. You know, there's, you know, this is the, but to your point, the council just, you know, decided to move forward. We have the essence of a draft of a contract, or a shared service, I should say. That's how I should refer to it. It's a shared services agreement of which our attorneys now have in hand, and we're going to be going over it, and we will keep that in mind as we are reviewing it over the next couple of days.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else who wish to come forward at this time? Seeing that there isn't anyone, can I have a motion to close the meeting to the public?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We'll have some brief council comments. I'll start with Councilman Molina.
I have no further comments since I didn't know when meetings were open or not tonight, so
Kind of says it all.
He's decided to.
I decided to
Keep his mouth shut.
pass it along. Thanks.
Councilwoman?
I too think I said what needed to be said. Please know that we do deliberate on all of these difficult decisions, and we try to have the needs of everyone in mind. Have a good night.
Thank you, Councilman.
I just want to thank everybody who came out tonight. It was sort of a busy meeting, but I appreciate everybody's input, and we'll see you next month. Have a pleasant evening.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
If you have tuned into the meeting from the very beginning, you have seen that we have honored people who I think many times we take for granted. Our police officers and our EMS workers and nurses. I don't think anybody gets up in the morning and says, oh, I think I'll call the rescue squad today because I'm going to be in an automobile accident. You don't even think about these people in your everyday lives until you need them. And they're here to serve us, and they do a magnificent job. And you also saw the young people here today, the scouts and the young lady and her cohorts who did the Rockin' for Autism. If they are doing this at this young age, I think Fanwood, we will be leaving Fanwood in very good hands.
Thank you.
I just want to remind everybody that the Memorial Day concert this year that has been in Fanwood for the past few years is going to be at the Scotch Plains Green on, that's the Sunday of Memorial Day weekend at 6.
29th.
Right. And then we'll see you at the parade on Memorial Day. Thanks.
I just wanted to say everybody enjoy the better weather. It was pretty cold last week, so get out there and enjoy our parks. Enjoy it. Have a nice night.
Thank you. And as Councilman Krantz said, Sunday, the 29th, there'll be the free concert to the fallen heroes, which is an awesome way to remember those who sacrificed for our country. And then at 9 o'clock on Monday, the 30th, we'll have our ceremonies at Borough Hall at the library, which we invite everyone. And then to hopefully either march or be along the parade route with your family and friends. It's a wonderful, wonderful community event. And with that, I'm going to take a motion to go into executive session to specifically discuss negotiations and possible litigation. To come out, there will be no official action taken. We will just adjourn. And with that, can I have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Good night.